Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our agenda meeting. For the record, today is September 28th, the time is 7 p.m. We'll move as rapidly as possible. Tonight we have 5 public hearings, 2 public hearings and 3 joint public hearings with our planning board, which is present this evening. And after we receive comments on their part of this issue, they'll meet and render judgment on those issues. And the decisions of all these things will be made next Tuesday night when we have our legislative session. Tonight's the listening session. We need to go into public hearings. Chair, here motion we go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. We'll go into public hearings. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor indicate so by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Accordingly, we're in public hearing. A public hearing event number 1 is to receive comments on the application for a street event for the Southern Bank 2016 Monster Dash for the United Way 5K and 1 mile run hosted by the Nash County and the town of Nashville. This event's been taking place for several years. It works around up Elm Street and through the cemetery, and they've worked out and had no problems with over the years. They want to duplicate that activity. Is anyone present from the general public who has anything to say for or against this issue? Anyone from the council? Okay. There being none, we'll declare that closed and move to the next item. A public hearing event to receive the comments on the application for a street event for the Nashville Chamber of Commerce Fall Social, which will be on, well, I got the wrong thing here. I lost the date on it. Show me the date. Green tab. Okay. I got that. What's the, oh, here it is. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I was looking at the wrong line. We have an issue here for an application for a street event for the Nashville Chamber of Commerce Fall Social, which is scheduled for November 10 from 5:30 to 10, and they propose to use the property behind the library here for their events and to use the facilities in the library. Does anyone present from the general public have anything to say for or against this issue? Anyone from the council?
I was wondering, is this a social for members or open to the public?
From their application is for members, for chamber members. Dylan, would you like to come to the podium and explain it for us, please? State your name and address for the record.
My name is Dylan Bunch. My address is 106 Prairie Dog, Lewisburg, North Carolina. I'm currently the Nashville Chamber President, and this is going to be an event for anybody that would like to come. I mean, we invite anybody from the community, but yes, the invitations are going to go out to the chamber members.
Are invitations going directly from the chamber to these individuals, or is it just open to the general public?
It's going to all the chamber members. I mean, but it is open to the general public. Anything that the chamber does is open to the general public because we like to get everybody involved.
And I understand you're going to have to sell beer.
There will be the sale of beer and wine at this event, yes, sir.
And that will be a for sale item and not a freebie.
It'd be a for sale item, not a freebie at this event.
Okay.
That is correct.
And just so everybody knows, I spoke with Mr. Bunch before the meeting. The way the map has it drawn out, it's not going to be in the very front of the library. It's going to be around in the little cubby cut, I call it, around behind the library. So.
And it's a new event that we're just trying out because if you haven't noticed, over the last couple of years, the chamber's been trying to do new things.
Yeah.
So this is something new that we are trying to see how everybody likes it in the community.
Yeah, very few people know where the location is around back, like Mr. Taylor said. We moved a lot of dirt from back there a couple of years ago in anticipation of sometime in the future of enlarging this room. But anyway, it's nice grass, nice wall, and so police out there. Okay. Other comments? Anyone from the council? Okay, thank you.
How many people you expecting, Bill?
I would take an average of what we normally have, anywhere from probably 60 to 75 people.
Okay. Okay. Other comments?
I would love more if anybody would like to come. I mean,
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
thank you guys.
Okay. Other comments? Okay, there being none, we'll move to the next issue. Item C is a joint public hearing which involves the planning board to receive comments on OA zoning 2016 and 05 request to amend the zoning ordinance requirements in regards to the subdivision regulations and sidewalks, amending section 1843C, construction on pavement in lieu thereof, which deals with developers not being required upon their request to not put sidewalks in areas where they're building. In lieu thereof, they pay the town cash for the sidewalks, and we can use the money for repair in other places. Is there anyone from the general public has anything to say for or against this issue? Anyone from the council?
Mayor,
Mr. Taylor?
I'd like to say this. I believe that every time that you take money in exchange for something, that the money doesn't always get applied to the appropriate place. Meaning that we have that problem right now in the state of North Carolina, our road money, because they use the road money for other factors.
Correct.
And I'd hate to see us start a precedent here with accepting money in lieu of doing the sidewalk, since other areas are now, and we required sidewalks. I'd like to see it continue that way.
Stay the way it is.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I have a question. Is this coming from the legislature? Is this something new?
No, ma'am. This is something that I've come up with, and I modeled it after other municipalities. Right now, as the mayor stated, if you construct a new road, you have to put a sidewalk on one side, and if you do a commercial development, it could be one lot, an improvement. The most recent one was the EMS building on Western Avenue. If you're on certain corridors within town, you have to put a sidewalk on your road frontage. So this would be an option for that developer. They would have to petition town council, and then at that request, you could either deny it or take the funds and then apply it to installation or repairs elsewhere in town. But it's something that I've suggested that we do as a text amendment. It's not legislative driven.
Is it widespread throughout North Carolina municipalities?
It's very popular.
Mr. Mayor,
Other comments? Yes.
I understand what Mr. House is saying about it being very popular, but just because it's popular, that doesn't mean Nashville's got to follow suit. My only concern is somewhere in the past, the council, before I even got on the board, decided to make this amendment make this an ordinance. And we probably put it in here for a specific reason. And now we're gonna come down some years later and regress back into the way it was in the beginning. And what I feel you open yourself up to, not to call any names because there are no names out here, but if one developer will come in and build something and he will not opt out of it and put the sidewalks, then another neighborhood will come up and this one decide to do without. So how do we decide which one to approve and which one not to approve? I would like to see it stay the way it is. We put it in for a reason, and the reason hadn't changed.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Other comments?
the thing that when I was reading this, that, I was torn between, the idea of accepting payment and the fact that it could be applied elsewhere in town. And my thoughts were, if we're accepting payment, then it ought to be applied somewhere right in that community rather than somewhere else in town, because you're actually taking from that particular community what they, could possibly have in a sidewalk and applying it somewhere else rather than right there. And so but I can agree with both Mr. Taylors on that. And Ms. Hinton, I think, that I don't.
I have to agree with all of you on this. Going back historically, we had no sidewalk ordinances. We've got a number of developments built without sidewalks, and we have ruled that ever since. The plan, of course, with the new thing, which is several years old now, is to require these people to put sidewalks on one side of the street. Okay, now that's been going along fine. Now what we're saying now is that a developer has the option of giving us money for the cost of the sidewalks and not building the sidewalks, and we can take that money and repair sidewalks elsewhere, which is fine and good. However, the developer, as you know, will be getting his money from the profit on his houses. So the homeowners will be paying for sidewalk repair around town through their mortgages, but not on the sidewalk in front of their house, which doesn't exist. So I've got that sort of problem with it. Okay. Other discussion? and I like the way it was. Okay. There be no further discussion, then we'll close that issue and move to item number D, which is a joint public hearing to receive comments on zoning request 2016-05, request to rezone properties owned by the Nash County, generally located on the north side of West Elm Street, west of the courthouse and the Sheriff's Department, from R4 High Density Residential District to B2 Central Business District and O&I Office and Institutional District. If you look in your tab, under the red tab, you will see there are 17 parcels that the county owns that's directly behind the property owned by the courthouse now, and some on the south side and the east and west of the courthouse property. Their plan, of course, is to change the zoning on this in case they need to do something with it in the future. Most of these were residential to start with, but the houses on those lots are gone and will never be built. They're mainly being used for parking lots now. In anticipation of future use, they wanted to get the zoning changed. The total amount of land for all of this being requested is 3.39 acres. And all of the business requests on the south side of Elm Street, which is on the east and west of the courthouse, and all of the O&I requests on the north side of Elm Street, which you can see on your map there. Okay, with all that said and done, is anyone from the general public has anything to say for or against this zoning? Yes. Identify yourself, please, and for the record.
I'm Nancy Nixon. I'm the planning director with the Nash County. The address is 120 West Washington Street, Suite 2110. And I just wanted to reiterate, I guess, what the mayor said. This is 17 parcels the county currently owns, and really what we'd like to do is just kind of clean up the zoning in the area so that it matches the use. As he mentioned, we use a lot of the area now for parking, and that's what we would do going forward as well. To my knowledge right now, that's all I know, is that it's for parking. There's not an anticipated change.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone from the council?
Mayor, we've got some citizens here from what I call Cobb Hill, that area back there.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to make sure that they understand exactly what's going on and the reason for it coming before the council tonight. And I've got 1 or 2 phone calls concerning the rezoning request. And it will not affect, explain to them, it will not affect their property values or their zoning ratings in their residence at all. The only thing that it's doing, with, like Mr. House explained to me, he's cleaning up, and the county wants to clean up so all the zoning parcels will be zoned the same. The county is not, even those vacant lots, the county is not going to build a house out there. The county is not going to build a residence, not going to build any apartments. It's either going to be offices, parking lots, or something, a county building. So that's why there is a need for the rezoning. If it stays the way it is right now, then the county, we've got their hands tied. They can't use that land for nothing, but just to look at it and for a parking lot. But it's not to, it will not jeopardize your property in any way, shape, form, or fashion at all. It's just to take care of the lots that the county has already obtained possession of. Correct. So it will not affect your tax base one way at all.
Yep.
You will remain the same.
Yeah, the way life is over there now, in the existing residences will remain as it is. That area has been difficult for us to define on our zoning map because it's filled with what's called non-conforming lots, and that there's no consistent size over there. There's some as large as 10,000 feet, and one as small as 1,360 feet. So it's sort of it's just the way it happened over the years. But the existing property there will not be threatened in any way. The county property would be changing the nomenclature on it will give it a higher order use that they can do with it, and life should go on as we know it. I would hope.
Don't see any change at all.
Yeah. Other comments? Anything from the zoning, from the planning committee? Okay. Good.
Did I explain that good enough, Mr. Hassel?
You did just fine.
Okay.
Well done. Okay, that's been closed. We'll move to the next item. Item E, which is a joint public hearing to receive comments on the consideration of a 5-year update to the Town of Nashville Land Development Plan. If you will look at your item under the yellow tab, you'll see that our planning director has sent us a request to renew our 5-year design on our land use plan, which was supposed to do every 5 years anyway. And if you'll notice that he has got 4 bullets in there for areas to consider. He's since then added some other issues that were sort of overlooked at the time that's now been included in the new map you have. And I'd like to ask him to explain what all these are.
Yes, sir.
You
Thank
start with your first bullet.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The memo that I've written you was the highlights of the updates. The other stuff was already in there, but I don't think that your eye would have caught it. Yes, sir. I don't think that your eyes would have caught it. So what I wanted to do tonight is to give you a marked up map, and I wanted to go through those slowly and give you an opportunity to ask me questions if you have some. So the first bullet on here refers to Cavalier Homes, which is on Eastern Avenue, and that had some holes in it, is what I call them. It was a mixture of residential, business, and industrial, but with Cavalier Homes owning everything and it also being one parcel of land, I decided that we should close those holes up and make it all industrial. The second block that you'll see is about the satellite annex parcels that we've taken over the years. 2 of them being at Registore Road, which is the daycare, and Mr. Rackley's house right beside it. And the other one is the larger piece of land that goes with Cottonwood, which is on the other side of Pig Basket Creek. Those did not exist in your other land use map because, of course, they were not in our jurisdiction at all, as they're not in our ETJ. I wanted to specify that this is not a zoning map. This is nothing more than a pie in the sky of how we think we'll grow. The third bullet refers to Eastern Avenue and Washington Street intersection, which is, I guess, commonly referred to as where Mr. Taylor's Exxon is. And that's a block of land that is zoned right now residential and business. Also, the future land use map shows it being both. And I think, as you can tell over the years, we've done 2 rezonings in the last few years that have changed it from residential to commercial, and I think you'll continue to see that. So I wanted to close that block up. And the last highlight is the Washington Street corridor, which I'm only really focusing on the north side of Washington Street between Advance Auto and the Baptist Church. That's where Edward Jones is. Those parcels also were a mix between commercial uses and residential uses, and I think it's inevitable that that corridor will turn completely to business. When, I don't know, but I thought we need to be prepared and go ahead and make our map reflect what we think it will be. Some of the other things that I posted on here just to bring your eyes to it, a lot of them you'll see I'm saying that I'm closing in holes. What the first future land use map did was take a lot of the existing uses and just carry those over to the future uses. So what you would have is one maybe 8,000 square foot lot with one house on it that's surrounded by all high density residential or medium density residential, depending on where it is. And like I said, this has not changed the zoning, but I feel like if we're going to do it right, we need to close up those holes and make everything uniformed. So I did that on Aviation, Bass Drive, and also a little bit on Clark Street, which was also a subject of one of our recent rezonings by the diner. And the last thing that you'll see on here is the rezoning that we just had a public hearing on, the Nash County parcels. Since we had that in the office, I wanted to go ahead and take into account the ownership of land they have, their request tonight, and go ahead and match that up. And so that's what you have before you. And of course, if you have any questions, I think I'm prepared to answer those.
Okay. Well, all this having been said and done, is anyone from the general public who has anything to say about updating our land use plan for the next 5 years? Anyone from the council? Anyone from the planning board? Okay. If not, we will consider ourselves completed with our public hearings, and we'll call for a motion to go out of public hearing.
So made.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, we'll go out of public hearing. Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor indicate so by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Accordingly, we're back in regular session. All right, it's time for our council comments. Mr. Taylor?
Well, the only comment I have tonight, Mayor, is to you. I want to say thank you. For the last couple of weeks, for the last month and a half, me and Nash Jr. have become to be real close friends. I can't seem to stay out of the place. And you kind of encouraged me to go ahead and get some tests done and find out what was wrong. And I'm glad to say nothing's wrong, nothing we can't fix.
I'm glad we know.
We know. And I appreciate you taking the time to call me to see how I was doing and to keep checking up on me. And I know the rest of you were thinking about me too, but the mayor, he just called me more and said, "Who's this?" I said, "The mayor checking on me." And I really do appreciate that. That means a lot when
You
you
sure
know
will.
other people are thinking
I was,
about you.
I was greatly concerned about
How
you.
you doing? But I'm okay, and I'm going to be in here for a little while longer.
That's very good.
All right.
Very good. Mr. Taylor?
I'm just happy to see concerned citizens show up at these meetings that have questions, and maybe they can get their answers. It's always good to look out and see people looking back our way.
Yeah.
We
And
know they care.
And they can come anytime.
Come anytime.
Anytime.
Right.
Anytime. Okay? Mr. Fenton?
I'd like to thank the planning board. You do a great service to our community, and sometimes it's overlooked. Thank you.
Ms. Coleman?
I was going to echo Mr. Taylor's comments about the public, and it's great to see people, concerned citizens, come out, and always glad to see that. And like you said, I hope you got your questions answered, and please let us know if you didn't. But that's it tonight, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Taylor, we're glad you're seemingly doing well.
I seem to be doing well.
When you started talking about having blackouts, you started worrying me because I started having those things, and mine turned out to be a blocked artery, which is now unblocked. So, but those things are not good. But I'm glad you're well. Thank you. Thank you very much. I've had a couple of things come to me in the last couple of days you may be interested in. I got an email. I don't know whether y'all got it or not, about celebration of Manufacturing Week out at Cummins Rocky Mountain Engine Plant on Friday, November 7th. Did anybody get notification on that? Okay. Anyway, I'll be out of town on that date, but here, I'll give this to the manager if you want it. They're going to be out there from 11 to 1 showing you how to do things, and they sent a whole list of rocks and shows about how you're supposed to dress, wearing safety glasses and steel-toed shoes and all kinds of stuff if you go in the factory. So I'll give this to our manager and let him distribute it as necessary.
Thank you, Mayor.
Also, yesterday I got a letter from the Suddenlink people. You know, they were once our primary provider in town. They still send us information. This is from Bill Paramore, the Vice President of Operations. It said, "Dear Mayor Street, this letter is to notify you of an upcoming channel lineup change plan for Suddenlink TV services. Effective October 31, 2016, the following channel changes will be made to the channel lineup. Pivot on expanded basic 62 and high definition channel 262 will be removed from the channel lineup as Pivot is going out of business." And this says, in anticipation of these changes, customers will be notified via bill message on their monthly statement approximately 30 days before the changes are made. And if you've got any questions, call him. Okay, I'll give this to you.
So you're going to reduce the customers' rates a little bit?
I hope so. Pivot was kind of an interesting channel. I watched it on and off when I had pneumonia because I was laying there doing something. And they had a real erudite programming schedule, but now they're gone.
Any word about weather radar?
It's gone. It's in the higher, it's one of the higher numbers of the HD group, which you pay extra for. 'Cause I certainly wanted to see it tonight. I had to end up falling back on my cell phone with WREL, always trusty. Okay. Okay, other comments? All right, everything being said and done, we all finished up. We'll let the planning board take over now and do what they need to do. And we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded, we adjourn. Is there any discussion? Okay, there being none, all in favor indicate so of adjourning, indicate so by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. We are adjourned. The planning board shall take over.